Hello, in this video we're going to show you how to remove the rear wheel of a bicycle with a Shimano Nexus 7 hub fitted and also a Shimano Inter-M roller brake. The procedure is also same for the Shimano Nexus 8 hub. The tools you'll require for this job, working from the right hand side, is a 2mm Allen key, an 8mm ring spanner, a 10mm ring spanner, a 15mm ring spanner, a set of long nose pliers and a Y-shaped socket tool with an 8, 9 and 10mm socket. The 9mm will not be used. Okay, the first job is to remove the gear cable on the rear cassette at the hub. So first of all, turn the gear shifter on the handlebar into gear 1. That puts the gear cable in its most slackest position. Then using the 2mm Allen key, you'll see pointing directly backwards from the bicycle there's a little hole. If you insert the Allen key into that hole all the way, and it will hold just like so, and if you push it down with your finger anti-clockwise, it will release the gear cable, and when it's slack you can just pop it out with your finger, take hold of it, and the gear mechanism there that attaches to the cassette springs free, and you can then release the Allen key and that's your gear cable disconnected. Okay, now that you've disconnected the gear cable from the cassette, you need to follow the gear cable down and you'll see your gear outer cable here held into the arm of the cassette, and there's either a silver or a black plastic ferrule on the end of your cable, and you need to use your long nose pliers to pull that free so you can disconnect the cable from the cassette. So if you use your long nose pliers, put them onto the ferrule on the end of the cable, and it might be a bit stiff, it's been on there for a while, give it a really good wiggle and it will come free through the back of the cassette on the hub, and that's your gear cable completely disconnected. Okay, the next job is to disconnect your brake cable from your Shimano Inter-M roller brake. This is the latest edition Shimano M roller brake. If you have an earlier edition one that looks slightly different, if you refer to our video for removal of the front wheel, it's got the other type of Shimano roller brake fitted. So the first thing we need to do is take any tension off your brake cable here with the adjuster. So if you use your 10mm spanner, undo the lock nut here and slacken that off, and then with your adjuster turn it clockwise all the way in so you're releasing as much pressure on the brake cable as possible. And you should also make sure that you do the same at the brake lever. If you're unsure again how to do it to the brake lever, if you refer to our front wheel removal video. Now all you have to do is, if you take a tight hold of your adjuster here and give it a really good pull to take the slack up on the cable, you can just pop out and that's disconnected from there. The next thing you need to do is to disconnect the bracket here, which is in your roller brake. And if you push down with your thumb, give it a wiggle, and it will come out. On the back of it there's two flat sides which sort of roll into the hole, so you might need to put quite a bit of pressure on to get that out, and that's your brake cable disconnected. Okay, now your brake cable is disconnected, you need to undo the 10mm bolt here, which is your support arm for the brake mechanism. If you use your 10mm spanner onto the rear of the nut and bolt, and use your Y socket with the 10mm socket on the front, and you can undo your brake support bolt. Quite a few turns, but you want to take it right off. And when you've removed the nut and bolt, slide the bracket down and stay slightly, and you can put your nut and bolt back in just so you don't lose it when you want to put your back wheel back on again. Okay, so that's your brake completely disconnected. Okay, now you've removed your gear cable, your brake cable and disconnected your roller brake from the frame of the bicycle, you can now remove the back wheel. What you now need to do is undo your axle nuts on the right hand left side of the bike and pay particular attention to the washer behind, as these are left-right specific for the bicycle. They do have an L stamped on them and an R stamped on them, but if you do take them right off, make sure you keep them the correct way round. But to remove the wheel, you can actually leave them on the bicycle. So first of all, undo your axle nut, screw it out almost all the way with your fingers, and that's using your 15mm spanner. Now while holding the wheel, the actual wheel itself with your opposite hand, keep pressure on it to stop the wheel dropping forward. And your chain tensioner here, you can undo this by hand. It's an 8mm nut on this particular bike, but when taking the wheel out you can actually use your hand, you don't necessarily need the spanner. And if you wobble the washer loose, you can just click that chain tensioner out of the way, and you'll notice there's a slot in the back that this washer here slots into. So you need to pull the washer out and then drop your chain tensioner down. Now you need to do exactly the same thing on the left hand side of the bicycle, which you can probably just see through the wheel that I'm doing, but it's exactly the same as I showed you on the right hand side. So loosen the washer all the way off, or the nut, sorry, all the way off, pull the washer out, give the wheel a wiggle if you need to with the other hand, undo your chain tensioner and pop it out of the way. So all that's holding the wheel from dropping out now is my other hand, so make sure you keep hold of the wheel. So while everything's loose, you can now drop the wheel forward, give it a wiggle if you need to drop it out. The chain tensioners might catch slightly. If you just keep hold of the wheel just to stop it dropping too far, now the wheel's actually completely out. Now in order to take the wheel clear of the bicycle, you just need to lift the chain off the sprocket at the back and over the top of the axle, and then you can drop the wheel away and the chain will just hang there by itself, and that's your wheel completely removed, and you can take it off to do whatever maintenance work you need to do. And our next video will show you how to install the rear wheel.